Welcome to Human-Rich, where you'll learn about the humans that are part of every business equation and can make or break your business. As we often forget them, people don't go to work and forget what they do as human. They expect the same personal experience as when we are shopping at Amazon. So that's why we can't continue to approach them when it's convenient for us, but instead we need to approach them at the right moment with the right content. I'm Hugo Hamel, founder and CMO of Enrich³, a personalization marketing agency for B2B businesses. Our today's guest, Josías de la Espada Sempris, is CEO at Pirsonal, and lucky us, he's taking the time to walk us through video personalization, and we can learn more about how to humanize our marketing and grow our online sales. So before we start, I wanted to thank you, Josías, to take the time to be part of Human-Rich.
Thank you. Actually, it's my pleasure.
Awesome. So as we're human-centered, is there, we're going to start with one first question, and the question is about kind of you, the human at who you are. Like, what is the one thing that people don't know about you, and that maybe even something that is not even mentioned online?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I haven't thought about that. Yeah, that's a really good question. Actually, I don't know. I'm a Christian. I do a lot of things in my personal life related to sharing my faith, and I love music. And I don't play that much anymore, but I'm a drummer. I used to be a drummer, and I have a little boy. I'm married, happily married, and that's been 8 years now. So
Awesome.
we just celebrated 8 years last week. So those are the things, maybe.
Awesome. So tell us a bit more about your journey into video personalization from the very first beginning.
Well, that's a good question too. So about let me try to summarize it. So back in 2011, two of my former co-founders of another startup and myself started a company called Session, which was back then one of the first collaborative music applications in the market. And back then we were accelerated by Telefónica Wayra. It's some tech startup accelerator in general terms. And it was actually quite great. Little by little, we figured out that our product was actually, product technology, etc., was great, but we were having some issues maybe from a market fit perspective. The back then, YouTube was already a thing, but all these things related to music collaboration, etc., was actually growing quite a lot. So I started studying a lot about that back then. I was my previous job before that was in marketing, advertising, etc., in the advertising field and creative field. So I had a lot of experience working with clients and creative concepts to solve problems and all that, and that's part of the things I love the most of my job right now as well. Little by little, we figured out that video was quite important, and that with that in mind, we created a video application to help people collaborate. And little by little, I understood a bit more about how video was super important for marketing in order to engage with people, attention span, and all that. And little by little, that brought me to think about a marketing platform that could help people or marketers create content that would help them engage with specific individuals. In the end, coming from the marketing and creative and the advertising field, in the end, companies spend a lot of money targeting the masses, so that makes them historically that has worked really well. But right now there is, back in the days and right now there is a lot of noise with the content, with the advertising messages, etc., that companies create to target specific individuals, because usually it's for the masses. So with that in mind, about 2 years ago, I created a new company called Pirsonal, specifically in the personalized video marketing field, and with marketing automation in mind. And that's more or less the summary of how I started. I started maybe with personalization, with video personalization and marketing personalization potentially about 6-7 years ago or so, with different tests, speaking to a lot of companies, agencies, etc. The beginning, the interest wasn't there from a lot of companies, but little by little they understood the message and understood the need of targeting specific individuals, and that's more or less how, in the end, I got where we are right now. That's a long but short summary.
Awesome. And kind of basically, if I understand properly, you went from the music industry with Session, and then after that, you kind of switched to a little bit more into the video, more like personalized and more like individualized. And kind of what made you want to transition within the music? Like, what was the like, kind of turning point?
Yeah. So in the end, so I love music, but we understood back then that it was quite hard for us to monetize what we were doing, and we saw what some of our competitors back then were doing as well, and we saw that it was quite hard. So as a startup guy, I would say, and as a business person, I was looking for something like a wider issue we could address, that also from a financial perspective would also make sense for us and obviously for our clients and all that. And then I have always spoken to a lot of people to get a lot of feedback, and I actually love it. So basically, from I am almost in every sales call and marketing calls, etc., and I get a lot of information. So little by little, I saw back then that marketing automation was growing like crazy. Now it's pretty much normal. Back then it wasn't that normal. It was more like a few companies that have the budget, etc. And that the personalization was important. Personalization was done, through email marketing and some landing pages and things like that. Image personalization, video was crazy expensive as well, from a production perspective and all that. And I saw an opportunity. So I created a team and started working on that. Basically, that's the short summary. But so whatever, from my personal point of view, whatever, whenever we can help solve a problem. In this case, we solve a problem usually for customer experience people, marketing people, sales people, and whenever that problem it makes sense for us financially, it makes sense for me. And if we are technically capable of fixing that problem, it makes sense as well. And personalization is actually huge. There is a lot of room still for personalization. There are a lot of bad practices, a lot of good practices,
Yeah.
and and you know about that, and that makes it an opportunity for me and for my company and for us.
Awesome. So to give us a little bit more context, can you tell us more about what is Pirsonal and how do you apply video personalization within your work?
Yeah. So Pirsonal, we are a marketing company. We created a software, a platform, and a service that help other companies to automatically create personalized multimedia content. So that would be personalized videos, personalized images, personalized landing pages, personalized calls to action, etc. So we help our clients to combine all that personalized content within their marketing automation workflows, either for specific campaigns, like what I call one-shot campaigns, or for marketing automation workflows that are like live workflows happening like within the customer journey and all that. And that's what we do basically. We help small to mid-sized to big corporations. Most of them are mid-sized to big corporations in different markets. And usually either through our platform and or through consultancy services that are related to personalization, especially multimedia personalization, which is our area of expertise. And that's it pretty much. And you asked a second question.
Yeah, how do you apply video personalization in your work? So, like, how do you kind of have the eat your own dog food type of mindset if it applies here?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for us personally, it's been it's been challenging actually to apply our own service and our platform to our own marketing efforts. That's actually something that we are currently starting doing right now. And I found it personal about 2 years ago. And right now, being a personalization company, it's when we are actually doing that. I've done it in the past. Um, a lot with actually I did several tests with another company, but for personal I can say that we haven't eaten our own dog food. um, I think that for me personally, because I'll deal with marketing internally, it's been a thing that being potentially too busy with client projects and too involved with client projects, something that uh, more or less changed this past summer, but again, it's happening. It's happening again, and yeah. So most of my experience has been with clients, which is great. Clients that are really patient, that help us A/B test, and clients that are basically investing in this kind of technology and this kind of marketing, etc. And not all of them have seen great results. Most of them have, and that makes me happy. And yeah, some of the things we are actually going to do now, for this is for the end of this year and Q1 2020, are related to more. It's more like how do you say that in English? Experiential, is that a word?
Yeah.
uh,
Experiential, yeah.
yeah, let's say experiential marketing. So help our leads, especially our outbound leads, to get involved in the process, the sales process, get educated, in order to filter more people, and so that whenever we have a call with them, is because they are actually really ready to buy. That's and video personalization, demo videos, what's the word? Tutorial videos that are personalized for depending on who you are, etc., are some of the pieces we are putting together right now for to make that possible.
Right. Awesome. And in terms of the like the prospects, the customers, and the business itself that use video personalization, how does this affect them? So we can start with the prospect first.
Mhm. Can you rephrase the question for me, please?
So where we're gonna start is how video personalization affect a prospect life in a way.
Oh, okay. So it depends on their context. So it depends on what you want to. Uh, it depends on what the company wants to solve with video personalization or other type of personalization.
Right.
And what the individual's context is. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you just bought this wonderful car, and you're paying every month X amount of money for that car, and maybe it's a leasing car. It's easier with a leasing car, and you're basically renting that car long term. And but then you receive the first bill, and you don't understand why you're paying X amount of money. You signed the contract, you did everything, but you didn't really understand why you're paying that amount of money, or for how many months you're going to be paying that amount of money. So in the end, if the company, Volkswagen or any of these companies, doesn't give you the right information at the right time, in the end, what they are causing is a really bad experience.
Right.
You quality call center going to the store. I don't know how to call that in English, where where you buy cars and all that.
Car dealership.
Yeah. So going there. So in the end, that causes a really bad experience.
Yeah.
That really bad experience could cost them a lot of money. We're talking maybe $200,000 or whatever in the life, to take into consideration the lifetime value of that person. So that's something a company doesn't want to, well, shouldn't be able to afford. Let's say.
Yeah.
And that's where a personalized video, for example, helps you. It would help you understand how much money you need to pay, why you need to pay that money, and maybe why your wife that has a different type of car with the same company is paying a different type, different amount of money, how many kilometers you can use, or what happens if what are your options if it is like a rental just for 1 year in comparison to a 3 year rental, etc., etc. So that's an example. Another example would be, for example, if you are, let's say you are you're going to these wonderful vacations for, you're going to be in Cancun for a week, in Mexico, and you just have a newborn kid, and you don't have, it's not that you have a lot of experience with the child, it's your only child or whatever, and you don't know what services are available for you because of your child. You don't know if you need to pay extra for X or Y, and all that kind of information. So contextualization, in this case through a personalized video, would help this person, will help you, let's say, understand what your options are, what these scenarios are, what happens if you are, if they have a babysitting service or not, etc., etc. So the specific context that you need in order to be happier, in order to spend more, in order to spend in one you actually need or want, or in order to understand information that is actually crucial during your lifetime value or customer journey process, etc. So those are two practical examples, are actually real examples, but with different brands, so that I don't mention my my clients in. Yeah.
Right, and in terms of more like a customer, because we talk about a prospect, the customer, you would say more like the, the trip that you talked about, or you would have other examples you would like to add for when it comes more like to the customer itself.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
Lifetime.
yeah. So in most of our clients, and for my experience as well, they most of our clients don't use our platform and services, etc., for prospects. So it's in most, I mean, prospect, like people you don't know who they are, you don't have contact information or whatever. You are basically targeting, etc. I've seen that, and in some cases with great results. But whenever the issue I personally see is that usually you don't have a lot of information about them, so it would help you create a type of content that is personalized, yes, but maybe not contextualized, and that's where you might be just losing points and just wasting your money. From my personal experience, I've seen cases that are actually great cases, great results, especially for B2B sales. B2B sales may be a lot different than B2C sales from a perspective. And but I think I've never, let me think. I think I've personally never seen it or worked on a project with a client for B2C. I've worked in price for B2B prospecting, and or seen them. I haven't worked personally. I don't remember right now. And in some, so just in some of them with great results, but in majority of them, my advice is to not do it. To work with leads or with clients, because you have more information, and because in the end, personalization is with personalized videos is not as cheap as other type of personalization. So in terms of conversion, you get better conversions, but you also need to you need to play the ROI game. So I recommend always segmenting your audience, working if you have maybe, I don't know, 1 million clients, maybe you're going to be creating this type of content for 100,000 of them, for example, but not for the million clients you have, just as an example. So it has to do with the segmentation, contextualization, individualization, and not because you can personalize the content, you would be just personalizing the content for all of them, from my perspective, my point of view.
Absolutely. And for the business itself that use personalization, how does this affect the business positively, let's say? Ideally, positively, but not negatively.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, the right thing to do first is to know specifically how you want, or what's the business issue, let's say, that company wants to solve. What type of KPIs they want to either fix, improve, or whatever. Without answering that first, I think that in most of the cases, companies would just waste their money. It would be something cool, but without the right follow up and increase some conversions, etc., it doesn't work that way. Just like any other type of marketing strategy. Now, to give you some examples, what we usually work in three areas. Sales acceleration, so that's basically helping a company to decrease the amount of time a lead converts. For example, we work with these, it's a known flying what's the word, travel agency, online and offline, so old school and new school, let's say. And in their case, they are accelerating their sales thanks to personalized videos. So whenever a lead goes to one of their, a prospect goes to one of their physical stores, let's say, and branches, and requests information, talks to an agent, that person takes notes that will in the end up in their marketing platform. And with that information, our platform automatically creates a personalized video that is sent to that person before that person received the quotation. So what they're doing there is to prepare the person to receive the quotation, to get them excited, etc., to get them connected to the specific what's the name, travel consultant that is talking to them already, and that helps them close more deals. Another example is this company. Actually, for example, car industry. We work with a few companies there, and they had maybe about 5%. Their CTR was about 5% or so. And when they started working with personalization, in this case with personalized videos, they were able to increase it to about 25, 21, 25%, which for them is actually quite good. So those are really easy to understand specific examples. In other cases, it is about decreasing the amount of people that are complaining because they do not understand X or Y. Or, for example, right now personally working on a project for a client, with a partner, sorry, and in their cases, it's a medical, like a private hospital in one country from Latin America. And in their case, what they want to do, I don't have the results yet for that one, but what they want to do is to help their clients understand, patients in this case, understand how much money they need to pay and for what specifically, and to facilitate the process to actually pay online because of the type of audience they have. So they explain how to pay online, etc. So in the end, what they have there is more people paying earlier, or what they'll have, more people paying earlier and more people paying through the digital channels, because that way it's faster for them. It's when you deal with a lot of money, it makes a lot of sense. So those are specific examples. Sorry, I don't know if that answered your question.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if we want to get started with personalization and get those results, like what would be the main steps in few points?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the first thing is to understand what your business goals are. And this is something I usually talk a lot, and it's not super sexy, because video personalization is not magical. Any kind of there is no magical personalization. It doesn't work that well. You might get better results, but it's just better. It's not the wow. And people are paying for wow in the end.
Yeah.
So once those business goals are clear, either through KPIs or even more generic goals or whatever, but something specific, then I recommend talking about defining who your buyer personas are. There is something called augmented buyer personas. I'm sure there is a known word in the market for that. But augmented buyer personas is basically once you know X, maybe you know that that this person lives in Canada. He has on average spent X amount of money per month. He has 3 kids, etc., etc. And let's say you're an insurance company, you can use that information to do actually quite a lot. And it's not just only these guys. It's not only these guys spend I don't know $5,000 in insurance policy this year, but is that he has 3 kids, he's married, and he hasn't included yet this and this and this family member in this insurance. And with that information in real time, what can we do? So that's what we call the buyer personas. Another step would be to analyze along with that what kind of information you have access to. So for example, if whatever you know about them, it might be either from one data source or from different data sources. Maybe it is information from Facebook, through Facebook Pixel or whatever, or maybe it is information from your data management platform, if there is one, depends on the size of the company, or it might be information from a simple spreadsheet. What kind of information you have? Let's say you are creating this type of content for a B2B service. And maybe initially you think that you don't have a lot of information. You just know their names, the company name, and maybe that's all you think you know initially. But in most of the cases, you know a lot more. If that company is from, the travel industry, your leads or prospects or clients from the travel industry, or if they're from the car industry, if they're from banking, and that gives you a lot of information. That information can be used either for a simple phrase, a simple sentence within a video, within the email, or even WhatsApp message or whatever, or it could be used for either pictures or images or the type of actors maybe that are in the video. So usually companies have a lot more information than what they initially think they have. Once you have, I'm just trying to summarize the more or less 10, 15 steps we usually recommend. Once you have that information, launch a test, create the assets, the creative assets for the videos, different versions. It doesn't need to be one video for all of them, like the same structure. You could play with the things I mentioned before, based on the target audience, based on their maybe budget, based on their location, maybe, etc. So you can use all that information and launch a test, see the results. So if you have 100,000 people you would like to target with this, don't start with all of them. Start with maybe 10,000 of them. Once you have some numbers in terms of email openings or SMS clicks or WhatsApp openings, etc., check all the numbers. Then improve what the worst number you got. Maybe maybe it was an email campaign. People didn't open the emails, and that's what needs to be improved. It's not the video, nothing to do with the video. Maybe it's just the subject line in the email. Or maybe all the emails are going through the spam folder. So improve what hurts more, from there until you get to the actual video. Once you are in the video, you would improve maybe the viewing time, the engagement rates. People see 30% of the video, 40%, 50%, 100%. Maybe it is the people are actually watching the video, but they're not clicking in the call to action. There is a custom call to action. So that's something to be solved as well. Improve the results and start the process again with maybe 5,000, 10,000, etc. And until you're happy with the results. It usually takes time. So it's not something that you're going to do like in 1 week, maybe 3 to 6 months. That's usually what I recommend when you have time. And most companies don't have time. They just come and want to launch, and that's it. And I recommend to stop. Let's see the numbers and create a project. And it depends obviously on the size of the project and ambitions and all that. But that would be a summary of what to do.
Awesome. And in terms of those steps, through all of those steps and through like when we want to do personalization, what would be the things that we should not do and the things that we should do?
Yeah. Things you should not do is let me think about how to explain this. So to not use personalization as a generic message. So for example, and this happens a lot. Hi John, hi Patrick, hi Jennifer, hi Hugo, hi Josías. It would work. You will get better results in most of the cases, but I'm 99% sure that you could have done a lot better based on studying who your target audience is, going from the buyer persona to the augmented buyer persona, etc., etc. And in most of the cases, companies do actually they actually do that. Another thing you shouldn't do, from my experience at least, is to target the whole audience right away. As I mentioned before, start, if you have 100,000 people, start with 10,000, you just with a percentage. And most companies, it depends on the type of company and team that deals with this internally, but if you are already running A/B tests, do exactly the same with this. So it's not magic. Most companies believe that it's magic. It's not magic. It's marketing in the end, and numbers and all that. So start with segment your audience a bit more, and just A/B test results. Another thing you shouldn't do is, if you have a really wide audience, and let's say you have a really good budget, uh, creating, if you're using email marketing, creating a personalized videos is not a guarantee that people will actually open the emails. So either I usually recommend either focusing on those that actually usually open the emails, or using retargeting strategies, remarketing and retargeting. So, for example, a lot of companies do, maybe they will do one sending, and to X amount of people, and that's it. And then, only 20% open the emails, or only 30%, or whatever that the average is for that company. And 20%, 30%, and 40% is as good as or bad as your average openings are, if you're using, for email marketing. And most companies just leave it there. So, for example, we I remember this company, client, travel industry as well. They had that issue, and I just, something as simple as, why don't you just do a remarketing campaign? And they did, and they increased about 10% more or less their openings, and they were actually quite good already. So that's a simple example. So do retargeting, do remarketing, same as you would do, in any desperate mechanism, because what you want is results. And people, we all need reminders. And yeah, personalization, having a personalized video in an email or in an SMS or in a WhatsApp message is not a guarantee that people would actually open the content. You need to help them. And sometimes it is through a simple second or third email, or sometimes it is through maybe retargeting using Facebook Pixel, etc. So yeah, those are a few advices. Then things I would recommend to do. No, what was the question?
Yeah. What would you recommend to do when we want to do video personalization?
Yeah. First, if you have time, use it. So, there are occasions where there is no time. Let's say Christmas, we want to launch a campaign next week, and it depends on the size of the campaign, etc. Maybe everything is 100% clear, super ready. They already have experience, etc. And it's, pim pam pum, all done. It could be the case. In 80% of the cases, that's not what we see. So if you have time, take between 3 to 8 weeks to actually create a project, work in all the different aspects. That's it's usually every project has 3 areas: creative one, strategic one, and then the technical one. So work on all of them, and and each one of them, each area needs some love, actually. So in order to work properly, depends on the size of the project as well. Another recommendation would be to, I just forgot, I had it while I was explaining to you that a moment ago. Another recommendation, what was the other recommendation I just thought? I forgot.
Okay. Anyway, so you were talking about Christmas, and you were talking about the fact that like not everyone is ready to do properly their campaign for Christmas. So anyway, is there anything else you would like to discuss with us to wrap up all of that, or we've pretty much covered everything?
I think, in general terms, I think that's it. So there is so something that I would like people, companies to understand is that, and probably maybe you face the same. I don't know. Is that just like any other marketing program, you need to actually, keep calm, think, plan, and launch. So, and that usually requires time. Now, for something we've been working on this year is a new platform called Center, and that's more like for people that have no time at all, and or have a different type of budget, or different type of smaller audiences. It's more like a do-it-yourself type of platform, SaaS platform, etc. And that's where you can actually test and launch things, experiments that are fast, just like normal SaaS platform. But whenever you deal with bigger audiences, it's actually is almost in every case it's almost better to stop, plan, and but on the other hand, there was on one hand. On the other hand, something that we also see is so either you go too fast or you go too slow. So uh, from the lean methodology and all these
Yep.
should also be applied to this. So if you have, let's say you have a big project, huge audience, etc., and but all you want right now is to run a pilot or POC, proof of concept, etc. And so something we see sometimes is companies that take maybe 3 to 6 months or whatever to create this complex integration or super portal, whatever, to manage this campaign, when they could just start with a simple spreadsheet and see results with the spreadsheets. So we have a lot of integrations. Maybe the most common one is through Zapier, the marketing platform, the integration platform.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, we just recommend our clients to use Zapier or to use a CSV, etc., because it is fast, it is cost effective, it helps you see the results, or what you want to see is the results, and then you'll deal with how to scale it, how to apply it to this other type of product, etc., etc., etc. So that would be a fast recommendation.
Right.
To keep it simple and to test and to launch it as soon as you can, but with whole head.
Absolutely. Keep it simple. Start lean. Start do some minimum viable product. All right. So, is there anywhere where we can either follow you, try Pirsonal, join a community or whatever, to kind of learn more about video personalization and maybe start to implement it?
Sure. So we have a blog. It is not super active, but it has useful content. You can go to personal.com, personal with an I.com/blog, and whoever wants feedback, I'm always well, not always available, but always happy to help. It's Josías, my name, Josias @personal with an I, personal.com, and I'll be happy to share feedback and just be helpful.
Awesome. So thanks for being part of Human Enrich. It was really great to have you with us.
My pleasure.
So we're looking forward to do more video personalization.
Perfect. Take care.
Take care. Bye.